Hello everybody, welcome to Belgabor's Minecraft Bits and Bobs. This is the first episode, which is called ThaumCraft Node Supermerging. I know it sounds a bit like clickbait, but what I mean with super is not super in the sense of awesome. It is awesome, but it's more in the sense of supercharging, so more than normal. This episode will be roughly split up into 3 parts. In the first part I will talk a bit about the theory behind ThaumCraft nodes, how to merge them. In the second part I will briefly show you the mod that I will use for this method, for this build. Well, it's not really a build, it's so small that I can hardly call it a build. And finally I will show you what it's all about. Before I start though, I will introduce you to one of the tools I'm going to use, which is the Watch of Flowing Time from Project E. Project E is a remake of the old EE2, some of you might be familiar with. For those who don't, I will briefly show how it works. If you want to know more about Project E, Vagram, one of my favorite streamers, has made I think a 3 or was it a 4-part tutorial about it. So if I don't forget, I will link his tutorial, his showcase, and you can watch him. The Watch of Flowing Time has 2 very distinct functions in regards to time. The first one is, for that let me briefly re-enable the day-night cycle. If you right click it, it will speed up day and night. I can speed it up with the V key. If I click again, it will turn back time backwards. See, the sun is now moving in the other direction, and I can turn it off again. That's not the function that I will be using today, so let's keep it day again. The other function is toggled by the mode switch key. I actually don't remember which key it normally is. Usually it's conflicted, so you have to set it. It's the mode key under the Project E. Just let me show you. It's options, controls, Project E. Here it's the mode key, which I have set to B. So what does it do? It's a tick speed up. So to show you, let me briefly plant some wheat, and especially show you how much this speeds up the tick speed. So if I stand back, turn on the watch, you'll see in a second all the wheat is grown. So now let's come to the main part, nodes. So you know, nodes you'll find in the wild and you use to recharge your one. So I can use this tainted wand to charge from the node. All the aspects will go down, and if you have the right research, the wand will stop at 1. Now let me speed it up. If you take a look, when a node recharges, it ticks. So in every tick, one of the aspect recharges, and you see only one of each aspect goes up. This behavior changes a bit when you abuse the node, what I would call abuse the node. So if I hold shift and drain the node, you see that I'll suck at the least aspect point out of the node, which means that once the node wants to recharge, the normal 1 point recharge is now replaced by something like a dice roll. So there's 3 possible outcomes. One, as you have seen, the aspect recharges. The second outcome is nothing happens, and the third outcome is that the aspect is lost. So let's speed this up and see what happens. So you see I've lost Ignis on this node. Aqua and air recharged, auto recharged. Let's see what happens to Terra and Perditio. Well, let's not waste so much time on this. So, well, you want your node to recharge. So before I go come to the merging of nodes, the thing is, what we will see is what makes the normal vanilla merging of nodes so inefficient is this disappearance of aspects. But before we come to this, I want to make a short digress, namely on when you should not merge your nodes. And as you see, I'm looking at a wand recharge pedestal. So I've heard people saying because protected nodes recharge slower, that you should merge your nodes and have only one merged node to charge via one recharge pedestal. That is, let's make it sure it's not true. The reason for this is what I just said. So every tick, the node recharges 1 point. So if you have more than one node, each of them will tick and each one of them will recharge points. So all in all, it will be faster, but I will show you in a second how this works. So I'll explain what the thing behind this while let me just stick it on the node. So now I will charge the one from all of this. So this node here on the left, as you can see, let me take me for a second. This node, before I started recharging, had 16 points of each aspect. So this is basically the node, the example. If you merge a node and charge your one from it, the other nodes is the contrary example. You do not merge the nodes and protect all of them and use them to recharge your wand. So to compare this, we will just drain all of these nodes to 1 point, so and see what happens. What I've made behind this, let me switch to night to see it better, is what you see on each of these rows is the charge level of each of these nodes. How this I've done this, we'll come to that later. But just remember, bottom is 50%, top is 100%. So this maps the total V level of each node from 50 to 100%. So now what happens if I take off my wand and start my watch of flowing time? So what we will see in a second, when the nodes have charged half of their V, this is when the interesting part begins in a second. So you see the second node has recharged. One thing you will notice is that all of these nodes, pretty much with the exception of this one who had a bit of a head start, recharge at the same time. So there is no random thing, number generator going on. Every tick, a node recharged 1V. So what you see here is that now all of these nodes, which have the same total capacity and the same aspect combination as this one node, are now fully recharged, while this one, the first one, isn't even half recharged. So if we take a quick look, that's 10, 26, 32, 40 of well, let me calculate this. 6 times 16 of 69. So this isn't even half charged, in the same time that these 6 nodes that have their recharge time halved have fully recharged. So if I take it back, so still nothing happening, still nothing happening. Now it's half recharged. And this is, well, in some cases it can be beneficial to merge your nodes even for one pedestal. If you want if you need to read a lot of aspects, you need a big capacity to charge your wand and won't recharge it often. But usually it's just easier and more efficient to use many nodes instead of just one merged node if you use a wand recharge pedestal. So now we get to the actual merging of nodes. As you probably know, in vanilla ThaumCraft, to merge two nodes, you put them close together. And when you do that, the nodes start to fight, and the bigger node, which in this case is this one, will start to zap the smaller one. what I will talk about now is what happens on these zaps. So what you see is on each zap, the smaller node loses a point of V. And if you, yeah, we can see it here, the target node has already gained a couple of points in air. So, but this doesn't always happen on each zap. So on each zap, the target node has a specific chance to gain one permanent point of the aspect or the V in question. This chance depends highly on how much of an aspect the target node of the specific aspect the target node already has. So if we let this run, you will see that this bigger node will gain about, let's say, 3 to 5 points of air. It depends a bit on the random number generator. What is important whenever that zap happens and whenever a point or the target node gains a point of V, the source node has a chance of losing a permanent point of that aspect. And I say chance because it is a chance that is not 100%. So the source node does not necessarily lose a permanent point of V when the target node gains a point of V. Normally you don't notice that, because what happens is that what we will see here closely, that the target node reaches 0 point of V when the normal node handling code at 0 V comes into play. So the node has a chance to gain a point, has a chance to not gain a point, and has a chance to lose the aspect altogether, which I will speed up now. So it gained a point. Let's see quickly if this node will, when this node will die. So at the moment it has gained about 2 points, let's say 2 to 3 points. No, doesn't want to die. Well, you get the picture. So it is the same thing whether you basically put the node to 0 V by draining in with your wand, or whether it's done by the zapping. If it's at 0, it will have a chance to die. So the whole method that I'm going to show you, the whole point of the method is to prevent the node from dying, from losing an aspect, and to help it recharge, basically. So much for the theory. Now to what mod we will use to help that. Help us with that. The mod in question is called ThaumCraft, which is an addition to ThaumCraft, and especially will need 4 items. The most important one is the V reader. By the way, if you want to know more about ThaumCraft, my friend Heik Yorki has made a spotlight on ThaumCraft in which he pretty much talks about all of the things it has. So I'll link his video in the description. So if you want to know more about the node, go to his video and he'll give you an overview what the mod is all about. As I said, the block we will need most here is the V reader. The V reader is a very nice block that reads V from the block above it. So in this case, I've put a water jar here, and it will read the V and put out a redstone signal that corresponds to how full the water jar is. So if I take out this vials of essentia, so if I put one in, say it now has 8 lucrum, you see that it will also show the 8 points of lucrum on the V reader. And if you take a look at Vela in the bottom right corner, I now have a redstone power of 2, and if I fill it half, I will have a redstone power of 8, fill it full, redstone power of 15. But water jars are not the only thing you can read with the V reader. You can also read nodes. So if it can already read the node in the jar. So if I unpack it, you will see that I have a redstone power of 15, which means the node is fully charged. So if I start to drain the node, you will see that the redstone power goes lower and lower until it is here as a redstone power of 1 when the node has reached 1 point of V. The redstone power it puts out corresponds to the fill level, so to speak, of the node, the level of current V versus the total points of V the node has. Also, if you right click this block with a wand, you'll see that it has a GUI with a lot of configuration options. We will not go into all of the configuration options here. If you want to know more, another YouTuber, one of my favorite YouTubers, Echo the Builder, has made a very similar video to this today. He'll talk a bit more about these. The only thing we are concerned about is the mode. In this case, the node has only one aspect. The node doesn't make a difference. So let me destroy this node so it doesn't disturb what we're going to do next. So here I've put the full node with 16 points in each aspect. So as you can see here, we have a redstone power of 15. Let me take out of the wand, this wand here. So this wand I've emptied out of all of Ignis. So now let me drain the Ignis from the node. So you will see that the power has gone down a bit to 12, but not that much. So this is because the mode is total. So what the redstone output shows is the total drain, the total current V versus the total V capacity of the node. So now I can switch the mode to any high. So what that means is now we have a power of 15. The V reader will now read the highest ratio. It will not read the highest aspect, it will read the highest ratio. So at the moment everything except Ignis is at full ratio, so it will put out the power of 15. The mode we will need is the any low mode. In any low mode it will pretty much do the opposite thing. It will read the lowest ratio and output a redstone signal corresponding to that. One thing you'll think now is that's a bit inconvenient, because maybe I want a node a node stabilizer below the node, but I have to put the V reader below it. There is a method around that. You will see the second item we have, which is the remote comparator. Normally the remote comparator can watch a remote block and act like a vanilla comparator in relation to the block. In combination with the V reader, it has a special functionality. So basically you can read a remote location for the V content. So to do that we need a crystalline eye, which we will link to this node here. And as you can see here in the tooltip, it says watching certain coordinates in the overworld. So now if I put the crystalline eye on the redstone comparator, you will see that it now reads the V of this node and outputs the redstone respectively. So how will we combine this to make node merging more efficient? I have all. Let me take the stuff out. These are the components we will need. And I will first show you my original way to do this in Echo's video. Or let's say after watching Echo's video, there's for some conditions a bit. I forget something. Yes, the advanced node stabilizer. There's a slightly more efficient way to do it, but I will show you my original way first, because in certain circumstances it has merit. So what we'll need is a regular node stabilizer. I usually, this is a bit optional, I put an advanced node stabilizer and put the target node, which is this one, above the advanced stabilizer, and the source node above the normal node stabilizer. So let's unpack this, and you will see the nodes get protected and nothing happens, because this node, due to the node stabilizer, cannot be interacted with due to sapping. So now what we want to do is read the aspects of this node. So I put the comparator on top, and the node, the crystalline eye, and the comparator on here. So now you see it as 16, and like I said, we need to put it in any low mode. In this case it wouldn't matter because this node has only one aspect, but for other nodes we want to act on the lowest aspect, or the lowest type of V in the node. Now we'll need a second thing from ThaumCraft, which is the dense red crystal. The dense red crystal is from the redstone part of ThaumCraft, and basically if you have a look at Vela in the bottom right corner, it says power 0 min 2. So the dense red crystal is basically a redstone power gate. So in the configuration it comes in, it will only let through redstone power of 2 or higher. And if you click at the center with your wand, you'll see in the chat below that you can up this up to 15, so this will only let through a redstone power of 5. In fact, just let me demonstrate this. Lever and some redstone. So if I put the lever here, you'll see that this blocks the redstone signal because currently it is set to 15. So if I set it to 2, you'll now notice that it lets the signal through. So here we have a power of 14. Oops. So and itself has a power of 13. So if we configure it to 13, it lets it through. If we go to 14, it will stop the power. And the other thing you can do with these things is, if you click on the side crystals, you can connect and disconnect them. So if I click on this one, it is not connected on this side and will not leave anything through. So what we do now is just put this crystal below it, and that's basically it. So this here gives out a redstone power of 14 at the moment, which means the node is almost full. And once the node goes down, let's demonstrate this. Basically what you do by setting the power level on this crystal is balance how long the node will live against how long it will take for it to die, which sounds a bit ridiculous, but basically you just set the time the whole process will take, and by that how much aspect your target node will gain. So let's set this to something rather high. At the moment it's 13. Let's employ my watch to... okay, it already happened. So now it drained below the power level, and the stabilizer engages and protects the node and lets it recharge. What I will do for this video is set it to 10, so which is about 2/3. So once the node goes below 2/3 of its full capacity, the node stabilizer will engage and protect the node. The important part is the V-reader. It's pretty much what I said. The V-reader will adjust to the node going down on its capacity. So if the node loses a permanent point of V, the V-reader will adjust and put out a redstone signal accordingly. So this will work for a long time. So and up to the point where the node basically has only one aspect, it won't protect it anymore, and it will be destroyed. But this will take a while. So while I let this go for a while, I will show you the slightly more efficient version of this build, and why I still, and afterwards explain why I still prefer this one and what advantages it has. So the difference is in principle just the placement of the blocks. So we need a comparator, we need a V-reader, we need a comparator, we need a node stabilizer. This time we will put the big node in here, and I'll put a stabilizer down, but we'll destroy it, and the small one on the right. So what we will do here is, instead of protecting the source node, we will protect the target node. The reason for that is this node in this configuration will recharge faster, which makes it a bit more efficient. To do it, we will still need the crystalline eye. So we will still need to monitor this one, and the other things is pretty much the same. So the difference is just that we don't shield the source node, we shield the target node, and that allows the source node to recharge the V faster. The thing is, this really only works if you have these two nodes, while this setup is pretty much expansible, not infinitely, because they only have a certain range, but basically you could put another source node here with its own V reader, another one here, maybe even here, so you can pretty much surround your target node with this setup, and each setup will act on the node that it measures. So it will protect one node, the node that needs to be protected. So this will make it more efficient if you want to merge more nodes. So what I'm going to do now is I'll cut the video and let this run. So in my experience with this setup and the red crystal set to 10, it takes about half an hour of real time. So with the watch active. So I will just let this run and idle here, maybe come back in about 15 minutes and see how far it has gone, and tell you how it's gone. So see you later. So welcome back. It's now been approximately 15 minutes since I stopped the recording. And you see, well, what I've done before restarting the recording is I disconnected the red crystal here, and let the node recharge to its full capacity. So you can see it's now at 8. It basically has lost half of its air capacity. You can also see here on the redstone that the V-reader does in fact put out in relation to the full capacity. So it's now with 8 air at full capacity. And now let's take a look at the target node. You see air is at 42. So from the original 16 it gained 26 points. And you probably now know why I call the method supermerging, because out of the 8 points we lost here, we pretty much over tripled the aspect we gained on the target node. One small thing I forgot to mention is that if we go back to here for a second, and you see the node has now been eaten, we gained 4 points of aspect on air here from the original 16. If I had done this with bigger nodes, so if this would be a 64 in all aspects node, and this node would have been a 64 air node, I would only have gained about 1 or 2 points, despite the fact that this node has a whole lot more points to lose. So what I will do now is stop the recording again, let this run its course, and come back when it's done. See you again later. So welcome back to the final part of this video, and as you can see, the node, it's dead, Jim. It's about 20 minutes after I stopped recording, so my original prognosis of half an hour was pretty much right. If we take a look at the final node, you see that it's now at 56 points of ALV, so we gained 40 points. That's 2.5 times as much as the original node had. Not quite as impressive as it was on halftime, so to speak, but well, it's still a lot more than the 4 points we gained by just letting them go. As anything where a lot of randomness is involved, your mileage may vary. If you set the dense red crystal to a higher value, you'll probably increase the yield, but it will also take a much longer time. Just to ensure you, I did test the setup without the watcher flowing time. It works, but it takes a long time. So I stopped it when they were half merged, and I think that was about 6 hours. So the full process in this setup will probably take about 12 hours or even more, and even much longer if you increase the value on the dense red crystal. So that's about it. A few final comments. The mod pack I did this video on is Magicality. I'm part of the team, spearheaded by my friend Heik Yorki. The pack is available on the AT launcher, so if you want to check it out, go there. It's a magic focused pack centered around Project E. We'll try to make Project E as balanced as possible, so check it out. As I've mentioned, if you want to know more about Project E and how it works, check out Vagram Spotlight. I'll include a link to the video below. If you want to know more about Automagi, check out Yorki's Spotlight on that mod. If you want a different view on this whole thing, go to Aiko's video, which I will also link below. If you are interested in how I got these convenient nodes, I made a MindTweaker script for that. I will link that below. It's part of Magicality. It gives you basically a creative access to nodes in water jars. It is a bit flaky because the MindTweaker NEI integration is a bit buggy. Not sure if it's MindTweakers or if NEI is just a bit funky. So for example, if I go into NEI now and search for node, you'll see that they should be here, but they aren't. So if you reload a save game after the first time or reload the MindTweaker scripts, they are gone. So it's a bit flaky, but still very useful. On the series, I'm not sure. It will be probably be a rather random one. I'm not sure how often I will upload videos, and even if I will upload more videos. If you want to know when it happens, either subscribe to me on YouTube or follow me on Twitter. I'm Belgabor on Twitter. I'm also Belgabor on player.me if you prefer to follow me there. So the only thing left to say is thank you for viewing. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, criticism, questions, put them in the comments below. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. If you do leave a dislike, I'd prefer if you tell me why. You may also have noticed that from my accent that I'm German. So if you are German or if you speak German better than English, you can also comment or ask questions in German. But in the spirit of that everybody understands everybody, so if you can, ask in English. But if you if you don't speak English that well, I'm also happy to answer questions in German. So again, thank you for viewing. Have a nice time. See you next time.